Let's take you to the scenes right now, live in the Eternal City. This is the plaza of St. Peter's Square, in front of St. Peter's Basilica, where mourners have been gathering since the announcement. And the news of the death comes just a day after Pope Francis appeared on the balcony, where he wished the faithful a happy Easter, gave a short blessing. He met some of the crowd too, travelling in the Pope-mobile, stopping, meeting families and children who'd gathered to see him. He's been described as the People's Pope in pursuit of greater social compassion. And on this special programme on France 24 with me, Gavin Lee, our team in the studio here in Paris, our correspondents, our guests in Rome and around the world, we're going to look in detail at the life and the legacy of Pope Francis. Born Jorge Mario Bergoglio in Buenos Aires, the first Latin American pontiff. But first, for a moment, we can observe and listen to the scenes amongst those who've gathered right now in front of St. Peter's Basilica. Church. Well, a short while ago, a number of those that have gathered have been speaking to reporters about Pope Francis and what his guidance as the unifier of the Catholic Church has meant to them.
It's a great disappointment, a great loss, a man who has innovated the Church and a man who has left a great mark. And this, his absence, causes great pain.
It's very sad news, a great loss for the Church and for the whole world. A Pope who worked so hard for peace and for the good of all. Let us all pray for him.
Well, we're getting tributes around the world. We'll bring you up to date with those in a moment. Let's first begin in Rome with Seema Gupta, our correspondent there. Great to see you, Seema. Tell us about the conversations you've been having today, those in the Vatican and the faithful too, as people take in the news of the death.
Well, what we're hearing here at St. Peter's Square, it's a beautiful spring day. It's Easter Monday. It's a public holiday. So you've got tourists, you've got pilgrims, you've got those people who came to Rome to participate in the Catholic Holy Year, the Jubilee year, also present here, all trying to deal with this news, and particularly to contrast that with what we saw on Easter Sunday when Pope Francis was out and about, as you mentioned, in that open-top Pope-mobile, meeting and greeting everyone, even blessing babies. One person I spoke to who was just shocked at what happened said to me, maybe perhaps he overdid it a little on Sunday. We don't know. Some reports are coming out saying perhaps the Pope had a stroke this morning and that is what led to his death. We're still waiting to hear more details from the Vatican, but the Vatican has released a statement to say that later this evening his body will be placed in a coffin, and they say that he could be placed in St. Peter's Basilica on the 23rd of April for the faithful to come by and view his body and pay their last respects. I think for many people here, they're filled with great sadness, but also in memory of the 88-year-old pontiff and a celebration of his life and his pontificate as well.
Well, you said, we were only talking yesterday, you and I, weren't we, about the diplomacy, the service of the Pope, yesterday morning meeting the US Vice President, J.D. Vance, and then as he looked frail, didn't he? He'd been out of hospital for a month after being critically ill, double pneumonia. He was giving blessings to the crowd, as you say, at the Vatican. We didn't know then is that would be the last defining image and images of him, the ones that many would say was at the heart of what drove him, the pastoral, the spiritual shepherd, to be amongst the people. Let's take a look.
Cari fratelli e sorelle, buona Pasqua. Pater, et Filius, et Spiritus Sancti. Amen.
Seema, we spoke yesterday about the determination of him to be amongst the people, and this is somebody who's suffered with this health for many years. I think we go back to his early 20s when he had part of his lung removed for, was it bronchitis at the time? Tell us about that and his history of determination too.
Exactly. I mean, you have a young man who had part of his lung removed when he was a young man in Buenos Aires. And then continuing, we've seen in the last 12 years of his papacy, he had to have surgery on his intestine. We also saw that his movement was affected because he was suffering with sciatica. So in recent years, he's been on using a wheelchair or a cane to move a little. Then, of course, those 5 weeks in Rome's Gemelli's Hospital, where he was dealing with double pneumonia. That's already hard for someone who's 88, let alone someone who had part of a lung removed when he was a young man. But he came through it, and the doctors told the journalists that at least on 2 occasions while he was in hospital, he really risked to die. And so the determination there that he was going to come through, he came out of the hospital. And then subsequently, of course, we saw the doctor saying very clearly he had to have 2 months of rest and recuperation. He continued with his respiratory physiotherapy as well as other medications, but clearly it was all too much for him. Determined, as you mentioned, Gavin, to be close to the faithful, and that's what we saw on Sunday.